It is ABBA week on The Masked Singer, and I'm looking for some redemption. I went 0 for 2 last week for the season premiere, but this week I did not even listen to the singing from the new contestants. I think exactly who is under those masks just from the clue packages. So let's talk The Masked Singer. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my Masked Singer recap and reaction video for episode 2 of season 9 of The Masked Singer. I definitely, did poorly last week with my guesses, but this week I think I'm going to have some redemption with who is under these masks. Before we talk about any of this, though, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. We do The Masked Singer recap videos every single week that the season is in full swing. If there's a new episode of The Masked Singer, we're doing it. And so we have one from last week, the Medusa, who is returning as the current champion of this set of people, and then new competitors, the Night Owl and the Rock Lobster. And as of now, I only know one of them that goes home. Then there's going to be a battle between the other two, and another one will go home. So we'll get to the guesses and everything soon. But listen, if you are not one of my subscribers, please consider subscribing down below there. I'd love to have you aboard. Click that notification bell. Get all the updates of when I release Masked Singer recaps and all my other review videos too. I review a lot of things, not just The Masked Singer. But that is, of course, very important to a lot of people on my channel. So please comment below, too. That helps the channel out. And I love interacting with you guys. You, in the comments, definitely have shifted me away from my guess for who the Medusa is. So we'll get to all of that. In fact, I guess we'll get to that first, because Medusa was the first one to sing. And as we did last season, or as they did, I don't produce the show, as they did, whenever there's a returning champion for the following week, they don't really give us a ton of clues. They sort of repeat some of the clues we saw in the first package. So we did see the Buckingham Palace picture again, and we saw a couple of chess pieces. The new clue was a picture of Chris Martin from Coldplay, and of course he's worked with a lot of people, so I'm not sure if that narrows it down too much, but she sang Dancing Queen. And then for the on-stage clue post-performance, each one was presented by a reality show star, which I thought was sort of odd, because usually Fox likes to keep things in-house a bit. And so the first one actually was from The Bachelor, which is on ABC, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Nick Viall, I think is his name. I've never watched The Bachelor in my life, so I have no clue. But he presented us with a first-class ticket. The flight was number 1996. So, and Jenny thought what I was thinking, of course, that is the year this person was born. And the flight was to Tokyo, and she said, "You want to know where I'm from? Take a look closer." All right, the guesses from the panel. We had a couple of repeats and a couple of new ones. Tove Lo, who is a singer from, I guess, England. That was Nicole's guess. Or Lord. She thought it could be Lord, which was talked about last week. Robin went a little bit out of the box on this one, and he thought it might be Apple, which is Chris Martin's daughter. Apple Martin, Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter. She was born after 1996, though, because I believe she was the second born child, and the first one was Moses, which was, I think, 2002, something along those lines. So I don't think the clues line up. Her voice I wouldn't really know anyway, but obviously they did sing in the Super Bowl. Coldplay did, and she was on stage with them, so that could be the Super Bowl clue we got last week. Ken thought it could be Dakota Johnson from 50 Shades of Grey. There was possibly a 50 Shades of Grey clue last week, because we had a DVD that said 340 million sold on it. So, it could be a 50 Shades of Grey reference, because the comment was, sometimes success comes in the grayest of places. And they did sort of pick up on that, because Ellie Goulding was one of the guesses last week. I was thinking Fergie last week, and listening to the voice again, I still think it could be Fergie, but a bunch of you guys in the comments had said Bishop Briggs. And I had brought that up last week as a possibility, because I do think the voice could be her. I named off like a handful of people, Florence Welsh and, a few others. But Bishop Briggs is somebody that I did mention, but I did not think she was famous enough to be identified on this show, at least to U.S. audiences. Now, she has a few alternative rock hits, so I know her from that. I'm an alternative guy. But I just didn't know whether that was going to be somebody they would have on the show. But you guys in the comments are always so good, putting everything together. For example, 340 million sold. Okay, well, that could be 50 Shades of Grey because she had a song on the third movie, which apparently did about 340 million at the box office. I think that's worldwide, not U.S., but still. Okay, so that's something. I did not look up when she was born. I try not to look things up because I'm always afraid I'll type in the name of somebody and the first thing that will come up is, Masked Singer or whoever, because I watch it a couple hours after it's on. So I didn't look it up, but 1996 makes sense for Bishop Briggs. I don't know, but yeah, she seems like she's probably in her late 20s. She broke about 5 or 6 years ago, and she was probably about 20 at the time. Okay, that makes sense. From the Super Bowl to this stage, Jewel sang a Bishop Briggs song before on this show, and the Super Bowl clue, my good friend Paul informed me that she had a song in a Super Bowl commercial. So Bishop Briggs, the voice lines up as well. I don't know what the Tokyo connection is. She did open for Coldplay on one of their recent tours, so that could be the Chris Martin clue. And I'll be honest, I can't figure out a Chris Martin and Fergie collaboration. So I do think the voice still sounds Fergalicious, but I'm going to change my official guess to Bishop Briggs. I think that is who is under the mask. All right, so let's move on next. Now, Night Owl, I'm going to tell you right now, not only did I not even listen to the singing, I only saw the first, clue and a half, and that was enough for me. I know exactly who this is. Unfortunately, the panel guessed this person too, so I can't take, credit for it. But this is one of these times when I wish I was, doing my video live so you could see my reaction as soon as the clip started. So she said, I broke records and topped charts at just 17. There's only one woman that has done that, and that's Debbie Gibson. And then, and then the other part of that clue was it was a spinning record with ZZZZ on it. Her first hit, and it was not her number one chart topper. That was Foolish Beat, which at the time, she was the youngest person ever to have written and produced and sang a number one song. And since then, I think she still is the only female to do it that young. I think there have been at least one male that has done it. But in any event, her first single was Only in My Dreams. So that's the ZZZ on the record. I didn't look at any more of the clues. I fast-forwarded the whole thing. I didn't hear her sing. I muted it, though, so I could see what she sang, so I could tell you. She sang Fernando, the ABBA song, of course. And I don't even know what the onstage clue was. I don't know who came out and presented it. I don't know what it was. Doesn't matter. This is 1,000% Debbie Gibson. I'll tell you why else. She is one of the early adopters of Cameo, that video thing where you can pay $150 or whatever to have them say, some nice words to your friend or your family member. Debbie Gibson was one of the early adopters on that, and I have watched several of her cameos. I'm a huge Debbie Gibson fan. I know I just said I'm an alternative rock guy, but, back in the day, Debbie Gibson came out when I was just getting into music, 1987, 1988. I was about 11, and I loved her. In fact, I bought recently the deluxe edition of the Out of the Blue album. But anyway, so I fast-forwarded to the judges' guesses, and I'm kind of mad I did because Jenny said Debbie Gibson, and she even pointed out the ZZZ Only in My Dreams. So I hate that. And also through that, Jenny did say that there was a Long Island iced tea in the clue package. Debbie Gibson is from Long Island. So, okay. So it's 100% her, but the other guesses, Paula Abdul, because I guess they said straight up at some point, Belinda Carlisle, and Kylie Minogue, which is not a terrible guess from Robin, because she did top the charts with The Locomotion very young. I don't know if she was quite 17, but she was a teenager. She was probably 18 or 19. But the I Broke Records, that said it to me. It's got to be Debbie Gibson. So I'm not even going to entertain anything else on that. It's her. All right, the Rock Lobster was next, and this was a club sort of package. the Lobster A Go-Go Club, and he said, "It's got everything in this club, just like me. I've been in movies and TV shows since you were a kid." And at that point, we saw a doctor and someone in a raincoat. He said 10 million have watched me dance for 15 seconds on the daily. So obviously that's some sort of TikTok thing, probably. He said he was a weird, neurotic mess in school, but got fulfillment from elaborate pranks. And we saw the one-eyed monster pop up, who I couldn't figure out who that was because they've had so many different monsters on the show. I think maybe it was T-Pain, but I really can't be sure. He said, "I was expelled from 3 different schools and shared my quirks with an audience, and that's what I still get paid for today." And at that point, we saw 2 cards with a Joker on them, and then we saw a globe as well. All right, so the ABBA song was SOS, which is one of my all-time favorite ABBA songs. They're so good. And the guesses from the panel, Robin thought it might be Steve-O because there were some sort of jackass clues there. Jenny and Nicole both were very, very sure that it was Martin Short. And what's funny about that is Ken guesses Martin Short every single season, and he did not guess Martin Short. He guessed the person I think it is. And again, I didn't hear this person sing, so I don't know their singing voice. Because from the clue package, I'm like, I got it. I know exactly who this is. Don't need to hear them sing. Let's move along. I like to challenge myself a little bit, because last week I really messed up. I'm 0 for 2 for the season. I think even without hearing the singing, I know who these people are this week. Ken guessed Howie Mandel, which is exactly what I thought. Basically, even before some of the later clues, but we did have one of the RuPaul Drag Race people come out, Shangela, and she brought us a gavel, and the Rock Lobster said, "I've always been a great judge of character." But of course, Ken made the connection to America's Got Talent, so that makes sense for the Howie Mandel clue there. But, okay, so it's in the Lobster A Go-Go Club. Howie Mandel was a stand-up comic at first. When we saw the doctor, when he said, "I've been in movies and TV shows since you were a kid," I just, for the first time ever, last week started watching the old TV show Saint Elsewhere. I was looking for an old 80s show that I had never seen before, but that is pretty highly regarded. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to check out Saint Elsewhere. It's on Hulu, and Howie Mandel was in that. So immediately I thought of that because I've got it on the brain. But then all these other clues just matched up too. I'm not sure what the raincoat is about. I know if you went to see a Gallagher show, the comedian, you wore a raincoat. I mean, he's OCD. I don't know if it has anything to do with that, the germ stuff. But, fulfillment from elaborate pranks. And then, he said, "I still get paid for doing that today." He had his own prank show for a while. He does pranks on America's Got Talent to the other judges. The Joker cards, Deal or No Deal. And then the Globe. I didn't actually think about this. I just thought, oh, he's an international, success. But Ken actually put that one together. Bobby's World was his popular animated series. So there's no doubt in my mind, even without hearing him sing, this is definitely Howie Mandel in my mind. I want to be redeemed from last week. Let's go to the Take It Off, because Rock Lobster is the first one to be eliminated, which means we're going to have the ladies singing in the Battle Royale, and one of them will be thrown off the show. Is it going to be Bishop Briggs, who I think it is, or Debbie Gibson? We will see. But for now, let's go to the Take It Off and see if it is Howie Mandel. Jenny and Nicole said there's no way because he's so OCD he would never get in the costume, but I think he would. Who is it? Yes, I got it. Okay. I'm 1 for 3. Whew. I knew it. Those clues, I can't believe Ken. Ugh. Once Ken said it was Howie Mandel, I was like, oh, maybe I'm wrong, but I knew it had to be. I mean, the clues matched up. Oh, that's why Nick... Okay, hold on. Let me pause this for a second. Nick said when people were guessing, he was like, I definitely know who this person is, and when Robin said Steve-O, Nick was like, oh, I definitely know Steve-O. He's been on Wild and Out, but I didn't put this together till right this second. But of course, Nick Cannon hosted America's Got Talent for years and years. I think it's Terry Crews now, but so that makes complete sense that it would be... He would know him.
the show, why Masked Singer?
Yeah.
Number one, I love you, buddy, and I miss you.
Yeah, that's... I forgot that... I don't love Nick Cannon, but yeah, I forgot that he hosted AGT for a while.
When you watch this show, this is fun. And I just wanted to have fun. And the truth is, I do sing and dance.
I like Howie Mandel.
You do? I have like over 10 million viewers watch me dance. I said, I must be a mix.
So he has a popular TikTok. I'm not really on TikTok. I have one, so I can watch my nephew's TikToks, but I've never posted anything. I don't follow the trends on TikTok. So, okay, so Howie Mandel has a big TikTok channel as well, where he dances. Okay, well, there you go. Listen, I knew it was him, and that is a victory in my column here. All right, so I will find out now who is going home, because we've got Medusa and Night Owl. They're going to do the Battle Royale, the face-off. Is it going to be Medusa going home or Night Owl? One of them will return next week to face off against the final two competitors from this grouping before, they move on to the semifinals. But we'll see here in a second what song they sing and who's going home. Well, I thought one of the two might be saved by this new Ding Dong Keep It On bell that they have, because they are able to use that as the panel. But indeed, they allowed somebody to go home here, so we're gonna find out about that in a second if we're right. But the Medusa and Night Owl went back and forth on the winner takes it all, appropriate for a singing competition, and so that will close out ABBA night. And they said, whoever wins will move on to New York week next week, which I think is interesting because the Night Owl, if I'm right that it's Debbie Gibson, is from New York. So unfortunately, she may not get to be a part of that because she is the one who got voted out. Medusa will live to sing another day. And I was really listening to the tone this time, because I listened to the music through, because I'm like, well, look, I already said it was Debbie Gibson. Let me hear them sing. It's definitely Debbie Gibson. But the Medusa, I'm sticking with Bishop Briggs. But I have to say, I never realized how similar Bishop Briggs and Fergie's voices are. Like, it really could be either one of them. I'm going to go with Bishop Briggs because I think the clues do line up a little bit better with her, especially with the Chris Martin clue. But, boy, I'm blown away at how similar their tones are. Although nobody on the panel has said Fergie, so maybe I'm off base on that. But anyway, all right. And we got one more clue about the Night Owl that I missed earlier when I fast forwarded her clue package. Because as we heard from all the panelists, Jenny stuck with her Debbie Gibson guess and said that there was an hourglass, and we saw sand through the hourglass. Debbie Gibson played Sandy from Grease. On, I don't know if it was the Broadway stage, but she was actually doing it. I went to London in 1993, and she was actually performing it on stage at the time in London. And the You're the One That I Want by Debbie Gibson, like her cover of it was a pop, song, a pop hit on the radio when I was in England. So I know she did it there. Maybe she took it to Broadway as well. Ken's guess was Sarah Jessica Parker, which, I don't know. Did she break records when she was 17? I don't know. She was in Square Pegs. Robin guessed Kylie Minogue. Nicole went with Brandy Carlisle. Belinda Carlisle. Brandy Carlisle is a different singer. But for me, this is like the Adam Carolla clue package last year, where it's like I heard, half the clue package. I was like, well, this is 100% Adam Carolla. And then it was. If this is not Debbie Gibson, I should never guess again. So let me redeem myself again for last week's horrible showing. Let this be Debbie Gibson. It's got to be. And I love her so much. Come on. Yeah. Absolute legend. Debbie Gibson. She still looks, by the way, so great. Yeah, she was 17 in 1987, so we're now, 35 years after that? I mean, she looks really almost like she did back then. Not quite maybe at 17, but she looks like she did in her 20s for sure. And the other thing Jenny pointed out when they were doing the guesses, that Debbie Gibson toured with New Kids on the Block back in the day, and probably a couple of times since, because New Kids tour like every year. And her husband, Donnie Wahlberg, is in New Kids on the Block. So, she said Debbie has been, a family friend to them, which that makes sense too. In fact, one of my friends in middle school, I think their first concert was Debbie Gibson and New Kids on the Block in like 89 maybe, or something like that, or 1990. Let's see if they say anything else here. But Jenny got one, and Ken got one. Ken almost never gets one, so that is rare. But wow.
I knew coming. I said if anyone's gonna get it, it's gonna be Jenny.
Okay, so she knows Jenny personally.
Story about your
Yeah.
last 24 hours. Can you please share how you
Oh
got
yes,
your
wait a second. Okay, hold on. Okay, so he just said, "Let me share your story about the last 24 hours." This, I guess, was part of the clue package as well that I fast forwarded. But one of them, I think Nicole had said, "It's amazing that you did this on no notice and got up here, you know." And that happened before. Nick Lachey, who I think, had 3 days notice. Somebody had bailed out or gotten COVID or something, and so he got subbed in. So let's hear what she has to say about that.
Yes. So, not to bring the tone down, but to keep it real, I lost my mom 1 year ago.
Oh, I hate
and
that.
It was the anniversary yesterday, and I was flying back
Wow.
from New York. I was boarding the plane, and my manager texts, and she goes, "Somebody might be sick and can't do the show.
No
You have to be in LA
way.
tomorrow." So, got in late last night. I'm so glad I got to be
So
there.
she did this.
Your mom is
Now that I've already guessed, and I'm going to go back and watch her performance of Fernando, because I obviously want to see her perform. But the fact now, knowing that she had less than 24 hours to even prepare to be on the show, I assume they had to tailor the costume to her, because I doubt she's the exact same dimensions as whoever was supposed to be it. That's wild.
Get back to work. Yes.
That is wild. What a professional.
Debbie could just walk in here and do that. It shows a testament to your
Yeah, not many could do it.
talent.
Oh, I love Debbie Gibson. Okay, well,
Class act.
all right. She's a class act. Yes, we know this. That's really cool. And Jenny's absolutely right. There's not that many people who could just do that on no notice in a costume and prepare an ABBA song and whatever. I just love Debbie Gibson. So glad that it was her. I wish they rang the bell though, so we could see more of her, to be completely honest. But whatever. I guess we'll just see the Medusa next week. But hey, I'm on the comeback trail. I'm now 50% correct for the season. 2 for 4 is much better than 0 for 2. So I will take it. All right. Well, we will do. I guess New York week is next week, is from what Nick said. So we'll see what that means. I guess songs about New York or artists from New York. I don't know. But in any event, I will be with you the whole time unwrapping those clues. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.